I've been acting since I was a little girl. I did a lot of productions with all kinds of adults, but I did some children's theater too. And then I went on to a theater conservatory where I met April Stewart, who was like the best actress at the Theater Academy. I feel like with a theater background, voiceover just lends itself so much more to what you were trained for. Because I mean, I was playing little old ladies, and I was playing and you know, you're being a cat on stage, or being like a you know, a little tiny baby. You know, because when you're in the theater, you can just be anybody and everybody just believes it. There was a time when I was just starting to get offered little sitcom parts and stuff like that. I didn't even have to audition, but I also had this blossoming voiceover career, and I kind of had to be like, you know, what am I going to do? Which one should I choose? Thank God I chose this one, because I can get as old as the hills and nobody cares. I still can sound like I'm 2. The biggest misconception of the voiceover world was started by that movie, Mrs. Doubtfire. You know, when he was like looping himself, he did animation voices, but he was like watching his character do something, and he was doing the voices along to it, and everybody thinks that's how it's done. They go, oh, so do you go in the booth and you watch the cartoon and you just, how do you get your words to match that? And I'm like, well, there is a thing called ADR that you do afterward, and we don't do a ton of it. It's much more us creating the character and then them animating to it, but I always every time I see Mrs. Doubtfire, I'm like, you know, you've created this big fallacy. Well, the weirdest voiceover job I had was it was not very long ago, maybe 5 years ago. It was this Christmas special, and the director was an on-camera director, and he wanted to be like in the booth with us, and it was just, he was about that far away from my face, going, and like, okay, here's this one, and action. And I'm like, well, we're going over there today, and it's just this man like 2 feet away from my face. It was very weird. But and the most fun experience I had, or just like the most exciting thing, was I drove up to a studio and there was no cars. There was just one car, and I was like, is it just me today? Who's here? And they said, oh, it's just Stanley. And I was like, Stanley? I was like, who's famous? So famous they're going by their first name. What the hell is that? And then I walked in and it was Stan Lee. And I was like, oh, Stan Lee. Oh my God, this is amazing. So, and he was just lovely, and he wears wonderful cashmere sweaters, and I like to pet him. The most important job that I feel that I have is just being a mom, and I just love my kids so much. I love to be with them. This job is amazing because it's, you know, financially wonderful, and, you know, you're in a wonderful, happy environment with people who love what they're doing. And then, you know, if I want to go to a field trip or do something, I mean, as long as I give my agent enough notice, I'm able to be really present with my family, which is wonderful. It's just it's an incredible job. And I was playing the sexy role when I was like 9 months pregnant, and, you know, and I'm 42 and I'm still playing a teenager, a mystery solving teenager. So, you know, it's pretty amazing. Like when people say, oh my God, that's a dream job, I just go, it is. It's the best job in the world. I feel like it's such an honest expression of who we are. So if I can find the laugh for the character, it tends to kind of like, you know, especially if I'm lost and I just think like, how would this character laugh? I do that, and then I kind of try to work from there.